Hi, I'm Pat Thatcher.
And I'm Margaret Gifford. We're from Sotheby's International Realty.
You know, spring is a beautiful time in Falmouth, but one thing I've noticed is in scant supply.
Sure is. There's bikinis on the beach.
Oh, Margaret, I'm not talking about bikinis. I'm talking about the housing inventory.
It's the lowest it's ever been.
It's very low, but it's a good time for sellers.
And a great time for buyers because the interest rates are so favorable.
All in all, it's a great time for real estate in Falmouth.
Nestled in a classic New England setting amid 200-year-old elm trees and charming colonial homes, stately sea captains' homes, and charming Cape Cod salt boxes, Shoreway Acres is a graceful blend of Cape Cod's past and present. Shoreway Acres, proud sponsor of Falmouth Community Television.
Founder Abraham Penn taught a valuable lesson that has been part of a tradition since 1919 when he said, "I'd rather make a friend than make a sale." For more than 90 years, Puritan has been making friends as a unique family-owned company right here in Cape Cod. At Puritan Cape Cod on 199 Main Street, as well as Chatham, Mashpee, and Hyannis, you'll find the latest in men's and women's clothing, as well as ski and tennis equipment, and much more. Puritan Cape Cod, 548-0116 or PuritanCapeCod.com.
Welcome to Falmouth. If you're a visitor, this is where surf and sun meet for fun. If you're a resident, this is where you'll find the businesses and the resources necessary to fill all of your needs. If you're a business person, this can be your home. Join with other men and women who work together to make this a sustainable economy year-round. Welcome to Falmouth, Cape Cod.
Green Harbor Waterfront Lodging is nestled in a woodland setting on a picturesque ocean inlet. Green Harbor offers so much for a fun-filled yet affordable family waterfront vacation. Enjoy our private boating beach with ramp and dock, free rowboats and paddle boats, oversized heated outdoor pool and kiddie pool. You'll enjoy our attractive waterfront and beachside accommodations. So visit us online at gogreenharbor.com.
Remember, WC Communications is your printing team. We are calm and cool under pressure. You can call us at 508-563-7366 or toll free at 1-800-696-7303.
Internet services provided by Cape.com Incorporated. Established in 1994, Cape.com is the only locally owned and operated internet service provider on Cape Cod. Our specialties include e-commerce applications and design, wide area networking services, and high-speed DSL internet access throughout eastern Massachusetts. Cape.com continues to lead the way with cutting-edge applications, superior networking services, and quality customer support. For more information, visit us at www.cape.com or call us at 539-9500.
Cavosa Excavating is a family-owned and operated company specializing in the installation of Title V septic systems. Cavosa Excavating is one of the largest septic system installers on Cape Cod. Whether it's upgrading your current system or installing a whole new system, Cavosa Excavating can do the job. Cavosa Excavating, 508-563-5530.
Cavosa Disposal is proud to provide trash removal services to local businesses in Falmouth. Cavosa Disposal would like to thank its customers in Falmouth. Cavosa Disposal, 563-5070.
We've earned people's trust for over 180 years. We're proud of our heritage and the enduring relationships we've built with our clients. For us, trust is more than a word. It's the only way we do business, and it's why people choose Janney.
Leah McGuire's Irish Pub, Main Street, downtown Falmouth. What an Irish pub should be. Sláinte.
Bayside Kitchen and Bath on Main Street in Falmouth, where design and installation professionals work closely with homeowners, architects, and builders. Offering a full range of cabinetry, flooring, faucets, and green alternatives, Bayside Kitchen and Bath, returning you to beautiful spaces.
Eastman's has been Falmouth's hardware store since 1913. Today, we offer a paint department, over 30,000 fasteners in stock, and a friendly staff to assist with all your hardware needs. 508-548-0407.
Wild Harbor General Store, located in historic North Falmouth Village, providing quality goods and services for 170 years. Continuing to make history with our support of FCTV's coverage of Falmouth Town Meeting.
Carpet Barn, Carpet One Home Showcase, a local family-owned business offering all your premier carpet and flooring needs. They also feature tile and vinyl floors, area rugs, window treatments, and kitchen and bathroom cabinetry, serving you at 4 convenient locations.
Bringing you the news through the years, The Enterprise. Their subscription information line is 508-299-8379, and you can visit them on the web at www.capenews.net.
Michael A. Duffany Builders, Incorporated, 508-540-3625. Falmouth Volunteers in Public Schools, 508-548-1621. The Bank of Cape Cod, at 445 Main Street in Falmouth, bankofcapecod.com. Wood Lumber Company, at 81 Locust Street, 508-548-3154. Neighborhood Falmouth, meeting seniors' needs, 564-7543, neighborhoodfalmouth.org. Green Shuttle of Cape Cod, 866-934-6476, or gogreenshuttle.com. Foley Real Estate, at 703 Main Street. The number is 548-3415. M.R. Sars & Company, Flower Garden Nursery, at Sandwich Road in Hatchville, 548-5288. Danny's Barbershop, 508-548-6013. Eight Cousins Bookstore, at 189 Main Street in Falmouth, 548-5548. Paul's Precision Automotive Repair, at 464 Main Street, 508-548-3164. David Rogers Electrician, Residential, Commercial, Industrial, 564-7507. Murray & McDonald Insurance Services, Incorporated, at 406 Jones Road in Falmouth and 550 MacArthur Boulevard in Bourne. Falmouth Fish Market, at 157 T-Ticket Highway in Falmouth. Hamilton Tree Incorporated, 508-563-7633, or www.hamtreeandland.com. Oppenheim & Nickerson, LLP. Their law office is at 156 Locust Street, 508-548-8255. Davy Tree & Lawn at 996 East Falmouth Highway, 548-2662. Andy's Barbershop in the Falmouth Plaza. Arthur D. Calfee Insurance with 2 locations at 121 Conwy Road in North Falmouth and 336 Gifford Street in Falmouth. Chapman Cole & Gleason, 508-540-4172. Hanush Jewelers, now at 352 Main Street in downtown Falmouth. The number is 548-9107. Mahoney's Garden Center at Route 28 in East Falmouth. The number is 508-548-4173. 4842. Vincent Associates Real Estate at 159 Main Street in Town Hall Square. The number is 548-6500. The Cape Cod 5 at 763 Main Street. The number is 457-5252. Cape Cod Cleaning, 508-563-7622. Steve's Pizzeria and More at 374 Main Street in the center of town. 457-9454 or 457-9636.
All town meeting members, please come forward, take your seats. Don't forget to sign in. All town meeting members, please come forward, take your seats. Don't forget to check in. Attendance will be published in the Falmouth Enterprise. Our tellers this evening in the first division will be Mrs. Taschereau. In the second division will be Mr. Dufresne. And in the third division will be Mr. Hempson. I want to remind all town meeting members that we're being televised live by FCTV. We're now on channel 15. So please remember to identify yourselves by name and precinct each time that you get up to the microphone. Only town meeting members and department heads should be sitting in front of the signs that say town meeting members only. Anyone sitting behind the town meeting members only signs will not be counted when we do a standing count. I'm told we lost the signs, so it's the taped off row. Only town meeting members should be sitting in front of the taped off row. If you're a town meeting member, you're sitting behind the taped off row, you will not be counted on a counted vote. Again, my tellers this evening in the first division will be Mrs. Taschereau, in the second division will be Mr. Dufresne, and in the third division will be Mr. Hempson. All members present, please rise for the establishment of the quorum and the tellers return to count. In the first division, Mrs. Taschereau, 50. In the third division, Mr. Hampson. 72. In the second division, Mr. Dufresne. 90. Yeah, so 160. 160. 50, 72, 90. 212. By a count of vote of 212, we have a quorum, and I call the annual town meeting into session. All please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This time we'll have the national anthem by the Falmouth Town Band Brass Choir. At this time, I'll call on Andrew Putnam for our invocation.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, may our meeting this evening be not only an exercise of care and concern for our community and its residents, but also an example of how a community can agree and disagree and still be a community. We ask you to watch over and protect our families, our community, our nation, and our world. May your gift of peace become a reality for all. Amen.
At this point, we'll pause for a moment of silence in honor of our town meeting members who have passed since our last meeting. You may be seated. Thanks to the Falmouth Town Band Brass Choir. We were unable to get Scouts tonight, but the Sea Scouts will be here tomorrow night. Thank you. Lynn? We have a very special microphone carrier this evening. To my right, we have Michael Wheeler, who Michael was the first student town moderator of the new student town meeting form of government here at the Lawrence School. And Michael is now up at Falmouth High, and he's coming back to help us out as a microphone carrier. So Michael, welcome. And just out of high school, we have Tom Pucci to our left. At this time, I'd like to start with the dispensing of the reading of the warrant. Mr. Chairman, for the main motion.
Yes, Mr. Moderator. I moved to dispense with the reading of the warrant except for officers' returns.
You've all heard the main motion to dispense with the reading of the warrant. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, unanimous. At this time, I'll read the officers' return of the warrant. By virtue of this warrant, I have this day notified and summoned the inhabitants of the town of Falmouth qualified to vote on town affairs, as said warrant directs, by posting an attested copy thereof in Town Hall and every precinct in the town, signed Constable James Pond. Mr. Clerk, that I ask that the warrant become an official part of the record for the meeting. This time, the chair would entertain a motion for non-town meeting members and department heads to sit up front with their respective boards and committees. So moved. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, unanimous. At this time, the chair would entertain a motion for town employees who are not residents of the town to speak on all issues before this town meeting. So moved. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, unanimous. At this time, I'd recognize the planning board for notification of public hearings.
I'm Jim Fox from the Planning Board. I'm the clerk. I'm in Precinct 1. We are here tonight for the amendments to the zoning bylaws in accordance with Chapter 40A, Section 5 of the Massachusetts General Law 43 of the Falmouth zoning bylaw. A public hearing was held on Articles 7 and 8 for the April 8th town meeting, and all those who wished to speak were heard. Thank you very much.
Okay, we have notification from the Planning Board of Public Hearing. We'll turn to the last page, the yellow page, the back cover of your warrant booklet. We'll review the simplified rules of town meeting. Number 1, speaking and voting. Registered voters, residents, and taxpayers of the town may speak on any article in the warrant. Persons who are not voters, residents, or taxpayers of the town may address the meeting only with the consent of a majority of those present. Only town meeting members may vote. Motions and amendments. Motions and amendments may be made only by town meeting members. 2 amendments will be accepted on any article. Long or complicated motions and other motions which he shall so request shall be presented to the moderator in writing. Reconsideration. Reconsideration will be allowed at any time during the meeting if the article does not involve the appropriation of money. If the article involves the appropriation of money, notice of reconsideration must be given within 30 minutes of the vote on the article. Reconsideration may then be allowed at any future time. The moderator shall determine if the motion to reconsider is in order. Motions for reconsideration must be based on substantially new information, not available to the meeting at the time of the original debate. The motion to reconsider is not debatable. Our hours of operation on the first night, 7 o'clock, subsequent night, 7 o'clock, and we'll close at 11 o'clock unless Mr. Hampson makes a motion and we vote 2/3 to stay. I want to remind town meeting members that the Rules Committee also, as of our last town meeting, has made a rule that opening presentations on an article shall not exceed 15 minutes. If an organization or an individual doing the opening presentation requires or requests additional time, they must ask for a specific amount of additional time. It requires a 2/3 vote to grant that time. And again, those are for the presentations at the beginning of each of the articles. At this time, I'd like to use a blanket vote on the annual town meeting warrant. For the blanket vote, we will go through each of the articles. I will call your attention to the purpose of the article and to the recommendation. If you'd like to debate the article or you would like to have an action taken that is different than the recommendation, just stand up and yell hold. We'll make a note of it up here. After I go through the entire warrant booklet with a brief explanation, I'll then run through it a second time just by the number of the article. And then I will entertain a motion from the Finance Committee to accept all articles that were not held as recommended as the official town meeting action. And then we will get notice for reconsideration. Article 1 is to choose all necessary officers. That is a hold. Article 2 is to hear reports from town committees and officers. That is a hold. Article 3 is to authorize the selectmen to settle claims and suits. Article 4, to authorize the Board of Selectmen to apply for and accept state or federal grants. Article 5, to fix the salaries of elected officials. Hold. Article 6, to authorize the continued use of revolving funds. The Emerald House, Recreation Department, Historical Commission, and Shellfish Propagation. Article 7, hold. Article 8, to amend the official zoning map of the town of Falmouth and North Falmouth for a business district. Article 8, Article 9 is a hold. We need to clean up the recommendation there. Article 10, hold. Article 11, this is to accept the provisions of Section 3Z of Chapter 143 of the Massachusetts General Law that provides for part-time building inspectors. The recommendation of the Board of Selectmen is indefinite postponement. Article 11, this is to see if the town shall ask the Selectmen to devise a method to reduce the rate of the CPA taxation. Okay, 12, sorry. I just got out of the car from Boston, sorry. Article 12, but it is for the meeting to seek the Selectmen to devise a method to reduce the rate of the CPA taxation. Hold by Mr. Finneran. Article 13, hold. Article 14, hold. Article 15, this is to fund remaining Win 1 debt obligation via a debt exclusion ballot question. The recommendation is indefinite postponement. Article 16, this is for a contract for the International Association of Firefighters. The recommendation is indefinite postponement. Article 17 is for the AFSCME contract. The recommendation is indefinite postponement. Article 18 is to amend the town's salary plan. Article 19 is to raise and appropriate the sum of $792,079 and transfer it into the Capital Stabilization Fund. Article 20, to raise and appropriate the sum of $440,000 and transfer into the General Stabilization Fund. Article 21 is to raise and appropriate the sum of $100,000 and transfer into the Other Post-Employment Benefits Trust Fund. Article 22 is to raise and appropriate the sum of $20,000 and transfer into the Workers' Compensation Trust Fund. Article 23 is the omnibus budget. It's a hold. Article 24, the sum of $5,600,000 appropriated to pay the cost of design, construction, and other costs related to the implementation of the town's comprehensive wastewater management plan. Hold. Article 25, this is to appropriate the sum of $3,400,000 to pay the cost of design and construction of a water treatment system or water filtration plant. Hold. Article 26, to accept the doings of the Board of Selectmen in laying out the roads Cash's Trail, Castle Road, and Sandcastle Drive. Article 27, to declare surplus to the needs of the town and authorize the Board of Selectmen to lease property on Spring Bars Road. Article 28, vote to amend Section 172.5 of the Code of Falmouth entitled Rental Property Fees by deleting the section. Article 29, the town vote to raise and appropriate from fiscal year 14 Community Preservation Fund revenues the sum of $120,750 for the purpose of funding community preservation administrative expenses. And Article 30 is a hold by the Finance Committee. Okay, Article 1 is a hold, Article 2 is a hold, Article 3 is a hold, Article 4. Article 5 is a hold, Article 6. Article 7 is a hold. Article 8 is a hold, Article 9 is a hold, Article 10 is a hold, Article 11. Article 12 is a hold, Article 13 is a hold, Article 14 is a hold, Article 15. Article 16. Article 17. Article 18 is a hold, Article 19. Article 20. Article 21 is a hold, Article 22. Article 23 is a hold, Article 24 is a hold, Article 25 is a hold, Article 26. Hold on 26. Article 27 is a hold, Article 28. Article 29. And Article 30 is a hold. Madam Chairman, for the main motion.
Mr. Moderator, I move all articles voted and not held under the blanket vote be approved by this town meeting.
Okay, you've all heard the main motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, unanimous. Madam Chairman, for notification.
Mr. Chairman, I vote all articles voted under the blanket be held for reconsideration.
Okay, notice of reconsideration is served on all of the articles that we passed on the blanket. Article 1 is to choose necessary officers. I have nominations for 5 of the standard positions on the Finance Committee and 1 unexpired 2-year term. For the 3-year term, I have Thomas Brady, Gardner Lewis, Nicholas Lowell, Joseph Drillette, Wendy Vogel, and for a 2-year unexpired term, I have Megan English Braga. Are there any nominations from the floor for Finance Committee? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion to close nominations. So moved. All those in favor of closing nominations signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, unanimous. All those in favor of the slate as presented signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, unanimous. Article 2, to hear reports of committees and town officers. Madam Chairman.
Mr. Moderator, I move Article 1 is recommended.
Okay. So Article 2 is to hear reports. This time I would like to introduce the chairman of the Falmouth School Committee, Rebecca Moffett, for a presentation.
Good evening. I think possibly all of you know this news that I'm going to tell, may not be news, is the fact that our superintendent is retiring. Working with Mark Dupree is just an incredible pleasure in a public school system such as Falmouth. And the fact that he's the age that he is and says he's going to retire was a shock to me. And he will not divulge what he's going to do next. There's discussion about that. But I just want each one of you to know that he's here this evening, and I just want you to give congratulations for the number of years that he gave to the Falmouth schools, 20 as the finance manager and 5 as superintendent. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Dupuy. Next, we have the Council on Aging.
Good evening. We stand before you tonight because we are moving forward with the community needs assessment, and we need your input. My name is Jill Irving Bishop, and I am the director of the Senior Center. And standing with me this evening are two of our board representatives, Brenda Swain and Jim Vieira. The mission of the Falmouth Council on Aging Senior Center is to advocate on behalf of the Falmouth senior residents age 60 plus in addressing their needs by identifying and developing resources of assistance, provide information, referrals to other community agencies, outreach, health services, transportation, education, recreation programs, and activities. There is a special emphasis in promoting healthy aging and enhancing quality of life for the seniors and their supporting families. The patterns from the above slides highlight the shifting demographic composition and size of the senior population in Falmouth. Changes that have important implications for designing and delivering services to our community in the coming years. The time to start planning is now. How can we think about this now as we face such major issues as wastewater, drinking water, and wind turbines? We have to, because as our community continues to age, the majority of our taxpayers need to have resources available to them in the form of a vibrant, active senior facility that will enhance their daily lives as people look to enjoy their retirement years. Some even research this when they look for the retirement place to live. So we agree there is much important work to do in this community, and the consideration of our senior population should not be forgotten as a result. The John DeMello Senior Center is a 4,020 square foot building built in 1977. We currently have daily conflicts for building use and wait lists for activities, transportation, and outreach services. And now, it's time to think about where we go from here, and that's where your input is vital. Proceeding with an organized and thoughtful approach, we are moving forward with a needs assessment funded totally from donations obtained to the Friends of the Falmouth Senior Center. Many of those donations came from people here sitting in this audience, and also from those of you watching from home. The needs assessment will examine the current and future services and program needs of our growing senior population, and to guide the short-term and long-term strategic planning efforts of the Falmouth Council on Aging Senior Center. Specifically, the assessment will include a demographic profile of the Falmouth population, analyzing the ages 45 to 59, 60 to 79, and 80 plus. We truly have three demographic age groups of seniors that have very different supportive needs. We will distribute random surveys, provide community questionnaires for all adults who would like to provide input, hold public forums, focus groups, and key informant interviews. We invite, encourage, and implore you to participate in this critical process. It will give you the opportunity to provide input and help create the support for Falmouth's growing senior population. Your input is needed now between this month and November 2013, at which time a completed report with all of your feedback and your recommendations will be presented at town meeting. Watch local media, including our very own FCTV, with more specifics about the process. I thank you for listening.
Our next report will be this committee's last report, the Falmouth High School Building Committee. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Moderator, I'm Donald Johnson, Precinct 4, Chairman of the High School Building Committee. Ladies and gentlemen, members of town meeting, the renovation and expansion project is complete. The students, staff, community at large are using an excellent educational facility with 21st century technology. Tonight, we have furnished you with a handout which highlights the project from 2001 to the present. The report lists the goals achieved, summarizes the funding, lists the major chronological events. It lists the architects, the general contractor, the construction manager, and the legal support and members of the committee. The unused bonding appropriation from the $18.8 million voted by town meeting in 2008 is $2.2 million, which is now available for a future town meeting. The final cost of the project is $84.4 million. The state reimbursed the town already for $35.5 million. The town's expense of this project is $48.9 million. The Massachusetts School Building Authority issued its final audit and approval of the completed project on July 9th, 2012. The committee wishes to express our sincere thanks to the town meeting members, the Board of Selectmen, Finance Committee, School Committee, the town administrators, as well as all the town departments, the town meeting moderator, for your collective patience, support for this complex and lengthy project. I especially want to thank all the members of the building committee for their many months of effort and thought that went into the successful completion of this important project. The Falmouth High School Building Committee has completed its work and asks the moderator to disband the committee. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to members of the High School Building Committee. At this time, I'll recognize the Falmouth Coastal Ponds Management Committee for a presentation. We could do that if we've got some questions before we start the next presentation. Do you have a question? Yep. With the microphone, please.
Hi, Maureen O'Connell, Precinct 4. Through you, Mr. Moderator, to the gentleman who just completed his presentation on the School Building Committee. I'm wondering, what were the legal expenses, just to sort of finish my interest in that project? Thank you.
Mr. Johnson?
If I understand the question, you want to know how much of the $84 million was a legal expense? In the overall project, the total legal expense was about $5,700,000.
Any further questions? Okay. Mr. Hampson.
We promise to be brief. George Hampson, Precinct 5. This is the first time we've presented information on our Coastal Ponds Management Committee. And obviously, the reason why I'm here is to touch base not only with the Community Preservation Act, but the Falmouth citizens that actually come up with the money to pay for this. They were very, very good to us and allowed us to move forward. I hope we don't ever lose them. Part of this town meeting, we're going to be talking about the Falmouth Waste Management Committee. I went to their meeting and I learned quite a bit. I learned about what they're going to be doing in the future, and I also learned the fact that they're going to do a step at a time and take heed on what they learned from the first sewering and the planning. So it's not going to move ahead that fast, and I think that model would be good for the coastal pond management. As our estuaries recover, we're going to see changes. We're going to see more fish. We're going to see eelgrass in certain places, not all of it. We're going to see water clarity. This is going to be a wonderful thing. And more marine organisms which will inhabit the area. It's very difficult to see those unless you have a small screen. So as a recovery occurs, we are obligated to protect our achievements. We just can't spend all this money and just say, that's it. There are things that we can do to actually help improve the ponds. And obviously, waste of nitrogen into the system by using a lot of fertilizers indiscriminately is not a good practice. You have to use fertilizer, fine, but there are ways to do it. Also, we would like to have a coastal pond management plan, a citizens' water quality sampling. We have 3 organizations in town, and they're excellent. They are the Coalition for Buzzards Bay, which is Buzzards Bay side. We have FACES, which has been in operation for 7 years. We also have Falmouth Pond Watchers, 26 years in existence. It's one of the oldest monitoring systems in New England, if not further than that. David Ross funded that. Armin Orton played a part in that. Dale Goringer and Brian Howes. So 26 years. So those are the things that we have to do. We have to protect what we gain, and it's going to require a management plan, and that's what we are going to do. And it's going to take time. As I said before, it'll take time to do that. Right now, we have 4 members, and we're looking for more. It's very hard to have people stay, it seems. George Hampson, I'm the chair. Charles McCarthy was right behind me. Joe Vosi and Steve Aubrey. And we have one more person that's going to apply. And any of you folks out there that want to get into trouble, please join our organization. Thank you.
Thank you, George.
I'm Charlie McCaffrey, Precinct 5. I'm going to summarize briefly the work that the Coastal Ponds Management Committee has been undertaking over the last few years. Our charge is to develop a management plan for each of the 14 harbors in town, that is from Megansett to Aquoit. Our work is currently focused on 3 of these water bodies, Green Pond, West Falmouth Harbor, and Eel Pond, Childs River. The purpose of harbor management planning is to reconcile any conflicts or competition among the various uses we make of our ponds and harbors. These both now and in the future. These uses include swimming, boating in its many forms, whether motorized, non-motorized, public, private, marinas, yacht clubs, moorings, docks, all of the things that are part of the boating environment. Navigation, which is part of that, the dredging, the channels, the jetties. Shell fishing, whether it's individuals, our commercial shell fishermen, or aquaculture. Public access to the shore in general and to beaches, and overall aesthetic enjoyment of the marine environment. These are the uses we make of our ponds, and is the reason why water quality is important and is being addressed. And the second reason for harbor management is to reconcile and address any conflicts between all of these uses, not just among themselves, and there are conflicts, but between any and all of these uses and the resources on which they depend. The fish and wildlife habitat, the wetlands, the beaches, water quality, and just an expanse of open water to enjoy. We began our work by undertaking an inventory of the bottom of these three harbors. Conditions above the water are readily discerned, and others have gathered substantial water quality information. Our consultant, which was the Woods Hole office of a national consulting firm, surveyed more than 100 points in each of those three water bodies that I mentioned: Green Pond, West Falmouth Harbor, Eel Pond. They look for the health of shellfish beds, the eelgrass, and other submerged aquatic vegetation. They measured other factors such as sediment grain size, other benthic organisms. They produced 4 maps as a result of that work. The first map was a map that rated the relative value of shellfish habitat in each pond, high, medium, and low, under current conditions. They did the same for eelgrass. And the third map was then a projection of what the health of shellfish habitat would look like once we had addressed the excess nitrogen through our water quality management efforts. And the fourth map was what is the projected health of eelgrass, again, if we achieve our nitrogen standards. On this map, let's see, you can't quite, there should be some green down in the south west corner, which is where the best shellfish. These colors reflect what our consultant estimated was the relative future value, assuming we achieve the nitrogen standards under the TMDL for Green Pond. In the southwest corner, the conditions might allow return of eelgrass. We can't guarantee it, but that would be the highest quality area for eelgrass shellfish. The other areas are where there'd be medium valley, good shellfish habitat, and then generally in the middle of the pond, still lower values, but significantly smaller area of lower value than we have now. After we had the work on the benthic habitat from the consultant, for Green Pond, we hired the University of Massachusetts Boston Urban Harbors Institute to make recommendations on harbor management for Green Pond. They assessed a range of harbor management issues for us: public access in Green Pond, substantial lack of that, particularly above the bridge, flooding and erosion, which are growing risks, wetlands, good identification, the problem of invasive species, particular Phragmites, proliferation of docks, their length, moorings, the extent of coverage, the effects of tackle currently used on benthic habitat. Water quality was addressed, but it's based on, and anything that will be done on water quality will be based on the work of the Water Quality Management Committee. Navigational infrastructure, dredging, its effect on habitats and natural coastal processes, the movement of sand along the shore, which was well addressed by the former Coastal Resources Working Group. So this map has some of the data that we collected. As I mentioned, the future shellfish habitat values, existing docks, whether individual or commercial. You can't see it, but there's a little dot for every mooring, vegetated wetlands, and other information, as well as there's 100 foot from the shoreline and a bathymetric line that shows 3 feet of water at low tide. These are important because they're key standards in the Conservation Commission's review of docks. So you must reach, under their standards, 3 feet of water at low tide within 100 feet. That standard is likely to mean that there'd be few more docks permitted in Green Pond because there are a few properties remaining that can reach 3 feet of water at low tide within 100 feet. So that may change with sea level rise. The next map, and looks very much the same, and you won't see the difference, but I'll explain. One of the recommendations that we're making is a possible reconfiguration of moorings. Currently, moorings are found throughout the area. We recommend that a mooring plan be developed that concentrates the moorings in areas that in the future are less valued as shellfish. So we move the moorings into concentrated, smaller or larger mooring fields a little further away from shore, which will open up the shoreline for better access to shellfishing and such things as kayaking and canoeing along the shore. We also recommend that as water quality, this again would be implemented over time as water quality improves, because as we're investing in water quality, not for water quality in and of itself, but because it is important for our recreational uses, the quality of shellfish habitat. So if we're improving shellfish habitat through improving water quality, we don't want to lose the benefits of that by covering the areas with the best shellfish with moorings, particularly moorings that disturb the habitat. So one recommendation, again, over time, as the water quality management recommendations are implemented, move to different types of mooring tackle that have less disturbance of the benthic area. We have done substantial work on Green Pond, and this summer we will hold a public meeting in that area to get further comments from the public before we present our recommendations to the Board of Selectmen. As we finish work on Eel Pond, West Falmouth, and Green Pond, we will begin to work one or a few at a time on the other remaining 11 harbors and ponds in the town. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further reports? Hearing none, the question will come on the main motion to accept all the reports signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, unanimous. Article 3, Madam Chairman, for the main motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move Article 3 as recommended.
As recommended, this is to authorize the selectmen to settle claims and suits. Mr. Finneran.
Yes, Mr. Moderator, I have a question on that. It's my understanding that issue that I've brought in front of town meeting on no fewer than 2 occasions recently finalized its wending its way through the court system, and that's the issue of the scrap metal at the dump. After one of my petitioner's articles, Mr. Town Council brought it to court, and it's my understanding it was sent back for insufficient facts or evidence or whatever, I don't know the term, which led me to bring it to the Inspector General's office. They in turn had Mr. Duffy bring it back to court. It went through mediation, and the final agreement was that for our 104 100-yard containers of scrap metal, we garnered 0. And this was because the contract was extremely poorly written. I showed that to a couple of...
Is there a question here on this article?
Yeah. I want to know if there is any review at all of the contracts that are made in this town by town council before they lead to such extreme circumstances. I showed the contract to a couple of legal friends of mine and an accountant, and they laughed, and one of them told me that he'd never seen anything like it. I was just wondering, to ensure that something like this doesn't happen again, are there actual reviews of any of these contracts? It's my understanding that there's a problem with the contract on the lease of the Eddie Marks building.
Okay, Mr. Duffy, contracts, is there a review before we sign them? Or?
Yes, sir. We do review contracts and we approve them as to form before they're executed. In the case of the contract for the scrap metal, we never saw that contract until 2009, and it had been in place for 5 years before it was even brought to our attention. With respect to that lawsuit that was submitted to an arbitrator, we had 2 days of trial in February. The matter is under advisement. There has been no decision.
Okay.
As a follow-up, is there going to be some protocol where all these contracts are reviewed beforehand, so it's not, something like this cannot happen again?
Mr. Duffy?
My office reviews every contract that is submitted to it, and as far as I know, most are.
Most. Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions on claims and suits? Hearing none, the question will then come on the main motion as recommended. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a majority. Article 5, Madam Chairman, for the main motion.
Mr. Moderator, I move Article 5 as recommended.
As recommended, this is to fix the salaries of elected officials. Mr. Donahue held this one. With a microphone, please.
Mr. Moderator, I move to amend the main motion by striking out under Town Clerk $72,812 and inserting in its place $85,000, and I have a presentation to explain this to you folks.
Okay, there's an amendment to the main motion to change the clerk's salary to $85,000. Mr. Donahue.
I have to go up there. Good evening, folks. The town clerk, as we all know, is the only full-time elected position in this town.
Mr. Donahue, can you just pull that mic up a little bit? Yeah, please. Thank you.
If Falmouth was a corporation, its title would be Chief Business Officer or something in that line, and would be paid accordingly. We pay a competitive salary for other positions. Let's do the same for our town clerk. I have a presentation in that in Falmouth, we pay assistant managers $15,000 to $20,000 more than the $72,812 that we are about to approve for town clerk. I've also noticed that that number is going to be reduced in the next town meeting, a special town meeting, to $72,200 and some odd dollars. Next slide, please. This is for example of the different managers in the town here. I ask you, look at them over. Do you recognize any of them? Could you tell me what their names are? You know, town collector gets $87,000, the accountant gets $88,000, the planner gets $88,000. The DPW department is, they're all in 99 to 83. The building commissioner is 88. Natural resources interim director, 78. Recreation director, 80,000. Harbor master, and we're going to vote in another article coming up, I believe it's Article 15, to increase that to a maximum of 94,000 and change. Certainly, I think that we can afford to excuse me, I did not dare go into the police department or the school department salaries because they all look like telephone numbers. And the town can afford to pay these salaries to other managers, then surely we can afford to pay $12,188 to a full-time town clerk and bringing him up with the other managers of the town. By the way, the information that you saw came from the Enterprise, March 12th, 2012. Thank you very much for your consideration. I'm very nervous, and I hope you vote in a positive manner. I really think that I looked also at other town clerks throughout the Commonwealth that I couldn't get anything that I could really say is validified by, like I had in the Enterprise. I had it in black and white, and as I say, the March 12th edition. But if you look at those, if a town clerk is appointed in this state, they get the $85,000 to $100,000. But if he's elected by the people, he gets half in some cases, up to basically what we're paying our town clerk right now. I don't think it's fair. I think if a person does a good job, and I think our town clerk has done a great job for the last 10 years, I think he or she should be paid commensurate with other managers. Thank you very much.
Okay. Further discussion on the amendment? Discussion on the amendment? Yep, Madam Chairman.
The town clerk's position originally just had one figure, and it stayed that way. And at one point in time, the personnel department looked at it and said, we should really do something about this. And they rated the job in the classification of the managers. And they came out with a salary. And they also ensured that this position would get all the COLAs, step raises, and so forth, that the TAM, which we call, those are the managers, the group. And so it didn't stay at one rate. And my suggestion would be, if we need to take a look at this clerk's position, that it should be done by personnel if it's going to stay in the same condition it is right now. And it certainly can be done. Thank you.
Any further discussion on the amendment? Hearing none, the question will come on the amendment to change the town clerk's salary to $85,000. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. No. All those in favor signify by standing, and the teller's a return account. Might be 133. Looks like a lot more. In the first division, Mrs. Taschereau. again, please? 36. In the second division, Mr. Dufresne? 51. In the third division, Mr. Hampson? 32. All those opposed signify by standing, and the tells a return account. In the first division, Mrs. Taschereau? 12. 12. In the second division, Mr. Dufresne? 29. In the third division, Mr. Hampson? 40. By a counted vote of 119 in favor and 81 opposed, the amendment passes. Any further discussion on Article 5 as amended? Hearing none, the question, Mr. Dufresne?
The vote is passed. Adrian Dufresne, Precinct 2. The vote is passed and the decision is made, but I truly did not believe that this was the format to give this type of an increase. The Finance Committee's recommendation, I thought, was the right one. We could have evaluated this position as we went along through the personnel office to see if there was an additional responsibilities associated with this position to justify what has just passed. I hope that we don't set a precedent of doing these kinds of things on town meeting floor. It is not the right way to do business.
Okay, any further discussion on Article 5? Let's go, folks. Let's go. Any further discussion on Article 5 as amended? Hearing none, then the question will come on the main motion as recommended. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The chair says that the ayes have it by a majority. Article 7. This is a planning board article, Madam, or Mr. Chairman? Madam Vice Chairman after.
Ralph Herbst, Precinct 8, Chairman of the Planning Board. I recommend, I move that Article 7 be voted up as recommended. And before I introduce Pat Kerfoot, our Vice Chairman, who will present the changes that we've made since last fall, I'd just like to remind town meeting that 2 years ago the Planning Board realized that the windmill bylaw was outdated and inappropriate for the future development of wind turbines in this town. So we asked town meeting for a moratorium of 1 year so that we could examine our bylaw, do research, take input from the community, and develop an appropriate bylaw for this town, and changing the terminology to wind turbine. Last year, as the moratorium expired, we asked for additional time. We needed another 6 months to put our bylaw together, and we did that and presented it to you last fall. You did not vote to approve it last fall, and we, at that time, went back to the drawing board, took more testimony, did more research, and have made some adjustments to that bylaw, which I'm hoping that you will agree with. You can thank us if you want to, because we've spent hundreds of hours on this in 2 years' time, and both staff time and the members of the planning board. But in addition to thanking us, I hope that you'll vote in favor of this article. It's good. There's not a town bylaw on the books that will please all of the people all of the time. So we've done what we feel is our due diligence, and we worked very hard to come up with something that we feel is appropriate for the future use of wind turbines. Not going backwards. This is a bylaw about going forwards. So with that, I'd like to introduce our Vice Chairman, Pat Kerfoot, who will make the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, so the main motion is as recommended, and if you draw your attention to the recommendation, there are 3 changes from the way that the article itself is printed. So the motion that's on the floor, the recommendation here is the article as it's printed with the 3 changes listed under the recommendation. Ms. Kerfoot.
Thank you, Ralph. Well, as usually happens when the planning board comes before town meeting with a complex proposal such as this bylaw, we receive and we welcome your thoughtful comments. It's happened before, and I anticipate it will happen in the future. We incorporate those comments, as well as those offered during the public comment meeting, into a revised version of the bylaw. And then, as tonight, we bring the proposed bylaw before you again. And we're doing this with the wind energy systems. The original bylaw was created in a manner that readily allows changes without wholesale revisions. So you will not find immense differences from the proposal you reviewed for the fall town meeting. I will review with you the substance of the changes, and then I will be happy to entertain through the moderator any questions you might have. Section 240-166A, purposes, needed to have the glaring omission of municipal governmental bodies added to residents and businesses that potentially could use the supplemental power of wind energy systems. This is part of what we added to it later. And secondly, you had questioned who could install wind energy systems by right under state law, because that is true. And you wanted to have that clearly spelled out in the bylaw. That has been accomplished through a footnote, which you will notice in the bylaw, citing the state law under which it's spelled out and citing those 3 functions that can do it without a special permit. The agricultural, religious, and educational exemptions are provided for in that law. Next slide, please. There was an objection to allowing any turbines, no matter how small, to be installed without a special permit. That came up in the prior town meeting. So now, all systems are included in the special permitting process by removing the 0.3 kilowatt exemption that had been under Section 240-166D. Also, under that same section, the planning board added in the ability to modify, relocate, or otherwise improve a lawfully existing turbine as of the effective date of this article. Without this addition, any such action would have to go through the whole permitting process for any improvements that wanted to be realized. Next slide, please. Town meeting vigorously objected to defining accessory by means of requiring 51% of the power produced to be used on site, believing that it was not the business of the town to so regulate and that future energy conservation by the turbine owner could lead to less usage and thereby create complications. We saw your reasoning on that. The planning board has kept the requirement that a turbine be accessory to the primary use of the property, as it is in the current windmill bylaw. However, accessory will now be determined on a case-by-case basis. Next, Bob. And again, we heard you loud and clear. There was strong objection by town meeting in regard to the meteorological tower requirement under Section 240-166F for determining the wind quality for a potential turbine site. Not only was it believed to be excessively onerous requirement due to the expense and the duration of operation for that Met tower that had been spelled out, and this was true especially for small installations, but town meeting members believed that sufficient data was already available for the Cape. Therefore, Small wind energy systems of 60 kilowatts or less are exempted from the requirement entirely. We heard your argument that it was pretty hard for them. And large wind energy systems of over 60 kilowatts through 250 kilowatts can either provide Met Tower data or the equivalent. Next, Bob. Under Section 240-166H, 2B, the modeled noise setback has been changed from 8 A-weighted decibels to 6 A-weighted decibels. The A-weighted decibels are those that the human ear can hear. More recent information, including the board's discussions, research, and public comments, has indicated that there is too much variability and unreliability in the acoustic models used to provide sound impact analyses to give a reasonable degree of surety in determining setbacks by using the 8A weighted measure. Until such time as there is greater confidence in the modeling results, the Planning Board wants to act conservatively and does not wish to set up a situation where sound setbacks could very possibly be readily violated. And at this point, I'd be happy to entertain questions, and I would like to appeal for your vote tonight.
Okay, discussion on Article 7. Yep. Suplat? Push the bottom there, hold it. There we go.
Hello. Peggy Zuplat, Precinct 7. I just want to ask, in the recommendation that is as printed, the Section 244-166C for exceptions, in the front of the book it is listed D.
Yep, it
So
is.
we need to change that to make
Yeah,
it...
I was actually, the clerk just called that to my attention. It's a Scribner's error. Obviously, the references are to the D section, but you did catch it there. So under the recommendation, the second change, Section 240-166C, exemptions, should be 240-166D, exceptions. So that was a typo, and we'll fix it in the record. Thank you, Ms. Suplat. Any further discussion? The main motion. Ms. O'Connell?
Thank you. Maureen O'Connell, Precinct 4. Through you, Mr. Moderator, I'd like to ask Ms. Kerfoot, I'd like a little more clarification, please, on the slide that you produced about the 51% use by the owner that is being eliminated, correct?
Correct.
And then the next line, you said accessory uses would be, could you go into a little bit about what accessory uses might be that the Planning Board would be determining the appropriateness of on a case-to-case basis?
Okay, I think it's easier to start with, we do not want to see a standalone power plant. We are following the old bylaw in that respect. That bylaw required any turbine, or windmill in that case, as an accessory use. So we are following along with that, keeping any turbine as an accessory use. And accessory means that the main business is something else. The turbine will provide energy to that business and can or may sell energy back to the grid. Not the amount not to be controlled by any bylaw or the town.
So as long as it was appropriate in that area by virtue of your decision, the zoning board's decision, then it would be on a case-by-case, as you said, determined.
To be determined what is accessory or not.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Microphone to the left. Did you catch him?
Paul Ketchum, Precinct 1. I want to know if this bylaw covers state and federal lands that are in the town, and are they covered, and do they have to get special permission to install windmills on their property?
We do not have jurisdiction over state and federal lands from our bylaws.
That opens up a great amount of land that's open, things like Walkway Bay Research Center, the land up north of 151, et cetera. So I just wanted to understand that that is not covered by your bylaw. Thank you.
Our town bylaws only have to do with town property.
Okay, Mr. Noonan.
John Noonan, Precinct 6. I noticed that you addressed Flickr under further into the article. I'm going to put my glasses on to see what that is. On page 7, under 5C, you address shadow flicker, which means at that point the process has already begun, and it seems necessary quite a ways into the process of having to prove that there's no flicker. So I would like to suggest that you might want to put it under 240 166C, and just add a fourth line there that where the flicker from such construction or modification infringes on any abutting property owned under a different name for more than 10 hours per year. And then that way the person has to prove it before they even begin the process. It just would save all of the committees and the special meetings from having to take place.
Brian, what would your, yes, please do.
Mr. Hurt?
Yeah, no, I understand that. I'm asking Brian to give a reasoned answer with that gentleman's request of changing where it is in the bylaw.
Mr. Curry?
If the town meeting members will take a look on page 6, under the application requirements, it's subparagraph C, you'll see a flicker analysis. So under the application, the applicant obviously comes in with that analysis. It's then reviewed by the planning board, so we get it very early in the application process. We're not looking at it after the fact.
Further discussion on the main motion? Yeah, in the back there.
My name's Dick Kaler from Precinct 6. I've had some experience with the sound laws of the state and had a vexing problem with what you mean by a dB measurement. Is the background level measurement in dB and the measurement of the sound with the turbine noise added to it both the same kind, measure the same type of quantity? In the state law, they don't. And I think they should.
I think I get the gist of the question, but I was having difficulty hearing you. Perhaps the microphone wasn't on.
It's on. I think you just need to speak up a little.
Well, you have L90 as measuring dB as L90, but you don't say what it's applied to. We say it's the background. Does it also L90 for when the turbine is on?
We followed the state requirements for the modeling of the sound with that, in respect to that. Much of this language is taken directly out of the state requirements.
The state law just says 10 dB difference.
Yeah, well,
but they don't say what kind of dB. But the office that administers it has decided these two different values, L90 and some L peak.
The CEC has a very detailed, very lengthy methodology for analyzing the sound and for determining L90.
Pardon?
For determining L90.
Well, determining L90 is okay, but are both measurements L90 measurements is my question. when you're measuring the background, then you turn on the
Yes,
turbine?
the answer
Okay,
is
the
yes.
answer
I'm
is
getting that. The
yes.
answer is yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Is it Mr. Zweig back there? I'm having trouble seeing in the shadow. Yeah.
Hi, Ron Zweig, Precinct 1. First of all, I'd like to praise the Planning Board for all the hard work on this version of the proposed bylaw. And
Let's go.
And I'd like to also acknowledge the many changes that were made based on the responses from town meeting last fall. And but there are a few items that are not clear to me in reading the new version in terms of some changes that had been suggested. And so I think I just seek some clarification on a few points. It appears that the new bylaw is inconsistent or somewhat not in the spirit of the Green Communities Act with regard to neighborhood net metering. And with neighborhood net metering, 10 people within a neighborhood, basically, they don't have to live next to each other, could put up a turbine on one of their property, on one person's property, or possibly or somewhere else, and share the benefits and generate renewable energy that way. So it seems that this is still limiting it to a sort of a contiguous development from what I read. So I just like to see some clarification whether people spread out across town could join together and put up a turbine possibly on one person's property who has the adequate space and room. And then coming back to Mr. Kaler's comment, the second item, the state guideline is that the incremental increase in noise should not exceed 10 decibels in the A range, 10 dBA, and yet you're recommending 6. It's not clear to me how you were justified in reducing that. What was the basis of that? The third question
Can we start with 2 so that people can keep this in mind?
Yeah, okay, sorry.
Okay. First of all, we did make a change based upon your suggestion earlier. It's under accessory land use. So please look under that, section 240-13. It says, or on land held in common ownership as part of a planned residential development. So we did make that change.
But that's a contiguous development, though, is it? Or can it be a house in Woods Hole, a house in McGansett, a house in North Falmouth?
No, it would be continuous.
Right. Well, the net metering provision on the Green Communities Act allows for that kind of linkage. So if someone wanted to put up let's say, a 100-kilowatt wind turbine, or a group of people did, they could do that at one place. At least it would have to be 10 people, a minimum. So that is one thing. And then the other on how you got to 6 decibels when the state guideline is 10.
Okay, that one is fairly easy. If we had it modeled to 10, there would be 100% assurance of exceedance. We had originally had it at 8 for the modeling. This is the K factor. It's the ambiguity of the models. There are 3 models that are cited in I believe it is the CEC that can be used. And one of those, they definitely say you have to be very careful of what you're modeling there. We also, when we did our research and heard public comment, discovered that actually 8 probably wasn't secure enough a number to make sure that there was not exceedance of the 10 decibels. So we reduced it based upon, as I said, our research and public comment to the 6 decibels so that we can, as sure as we can be, not exceed the 10 decibels exceedance allowed by the state.
Okay, thank you. I think that the state also factored in the 10 in that there might be, anyway, the state has 10, you've put in 6. 6 is very low. I don't even think I could,
There are many recommendations that
Right.
say it should be 5.
I see.
So,
Okay, and then the two more, just two more. One is that you've set the smaller turbines at 60 kilowatts, whereas the state guideline is 100 kilowatts. What was the justification for bringing it to 60?
I could say we threw a dart, but we had to make decisions, and those are the decisions we made.
Okay, and then the final one is that the largest turbine can be, again, 250 kilowatts, whereas in the state guidelines, there's no limit. And if, for example, we pass this bylaw is passed this evening, and next week, a new turbine comes on the market, a 300 kilowatt machine that's quieter and basically has very less impact and safer, no one in town would be able to adopt that because of the 250 kilowatt limit. It seems to me it should be open-ended based on noise, flicker, setbacks, and all the other factors rather than a specific level because, as we all know, technology advances every day, gets cheaper and generally better. So I just don't understand that limit.
Okay, as I pointed out, we had to make certain decisions. Right now, the state is recommending 2,000 megawatt, 2 megawatt systems. That's way, way larger than what we can sustain here. The reason we started out with 100 kilowatt, we bumped it up to 200 kilowatt, then we bumped it up to 250. And the major reason that we did that is the Scanlon turbine that was permitted was a 250 kilowatt. We did not want to make that a non-conforming use. I would like to say, should you pass this, I would like to say, when you pass this bylaw. So that was the reason for doing the top limit of a 250 kilowatt. This bylaw is extremely easy to amend. Should the technology become available that is quieter than the 250, we can certainly amend it.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, further discussion on the main motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, the question will then come on the main motion as recommended. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Display the chairs that the ayes have it by a 2/3 majority, and I so declare. Article 8 is to amend the zoning map in North Falmouth. Mr. Chairman, for the main motion on Article 8. Mr. Chairman.
Ralph Herbst, Precinct 8, Chairman, Planning Board. Planning Board recommends Article 8 as printed.
Okay, the main motion, Article 8 as printed. This was held by Mr. Johnson.
Leonard Johnson, Precinct 5. I think we're entitled to a presentation on this, this proposed change. I'd also like to know what is permitted under B3, and I'd also like to know whether there is indeed some common ownership between the parcel in question, and if you look at your chart and on Article 8 in the back, there's a very large parcel that is to the southeast of this parcel, and I'd like to know whether there is common ownership between the parcel that we've been asked to rezone and that parcel that seems to be numbered 538.
We do not have a presentation for this article. I am not aware of any common ownership between the parcel that's being asked for rezoning and the adjacent parcel. And if I were to sit up here and read off all of the things that are allowed under both Business 3 and single residence be. We'd be here for about 20 minutes. I will simply tell you that, as the explanation says, this rezoning was studied by the planning board. It squares off the zoning, the parcel, and makes the Business 3 parcel inclusive of the property that's being asked to be included. It's more flexible, as the explanation says, and it makes more sense that this parcel be used as a business use rather than as a single-family dwelling.
Mr. Latimer?
What? I don't know what you're asking. Oh, Mr. Ahmed, I guess you're standing back there. Mr. Ahmed is the attorney that represents the petitioner for this. And Mr. Moderator, I'd ask that Mr. Ahmed be allowed to address this article.
Okay, Mr. Latimer, since the planning board didn't have a presentation, let me have Mr. Ahmed make a presentation, and then I'll give you the floor.
I'm sorry?
I don't know what he said. Good. Mr. Ahmed?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Thank you, Mr. Herbst. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Bob Ament. I'm a Falmouth attorney, Precinct 1 resident. I'd like to introduce you to Lisa Kenny, who's here to my left. Lisa needs no introduction to most of you, or many of you, I think. But she needs your okay to speak because she's now a non-resident of Falmouth. She does own property in Falmouth, but perhaps not in her name, but rather in trust capacity. Now, Lisa would have been born in Falmouth, except there wasn't a Falmouth hospital at the time, and she was born in the closest hospital at the time. She grew up here, and she graduated from high school in this room. Her professional life has been here. Most of her adult life she's lived here. But she married outside of Falmouth, and that...
Shame on her.
That led her to move to Bourne, and so she'd like to speak to you about this rezoning, but she, just to be sure that it's okay for her to speak, I think, and would ask the moderator to...
The question will come on
him.
allowing the gentlewoman to speak. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and you have the floor.
Thank you for letting me speak. One of the town meeting members had asked me to give a little history about the property and my family and the owners of Real Estate Associates, so I thought I'd start with that. Probably a few of you here might have had Miss McIntosh for a kindergarten teacher. I was right here for kindergarten and, of course, all through school here. And this, to me, is my high school rather than junior high. But the property... Real Estate Associates was started in 1973 and formed by three different women, Andre Noyes, May Kenny, who was my mother, and Paula King. And they're all deceased now, and so the next generation is myself, my sister, and Alan King are the current owners of Real Estate Associates. Years ago, we bought the property next door to the one that we'd like to rezone for the purpose of a real estate office. And now that the owners are deceased, the ownership is very complicated. There's trusts and other people involved, and we've never been able to agree on anything to build an office there. So the opportunity came up to purchase the property at 10 County Road, and the owners of Real Estate Associates, who are different than the owners of the, or we have some interest in the property next door, but we don't have all the interest, so we couldn't ever develop that. But the owners of Real Estate Associates would love to try and build a beautiful colonial style or Cape style office building, kind of like look like a bank building, and have it be a nice entrance to the village of North Falmouth. And so would like your support on that, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. One other thing, the building that's there, we had it for sale. Because of the railroad being on one side of it and then the bike path butts the railroad, because there's B3 around it, there's a dry cleaner and an electrical plant and or station or something, and Dean's Market across the street. It really doesn't, it's not suitable for a residential property. And so, plus it's in very bad condition. It really is a tear down. And so we thought we could make something nice on that spot and landscape it nicely and have a decent building. And our current building, that used to be the liquor store in North Falmouth, and then I think it was a garden center for a few years, is in very poor repair. So with computers today and the need for more electricity, it just is, it's an outmoded building. So for that reason, would like to move over to the other site. So would appreciate your support, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, Mr. Latimer.
I'm Rich Latimer. I guess I'm now in Precinct 1. I've been bounced back and forth a little bit here. I'm also a member of the Planning Board, and some of you may remember 1 or 2 town meetings ago, we had an issue out on Thomas Landers Road where there was a party coming in with a single lot, and a butter objected, and I took a very strong position against that rezoning because I thought it was spot zoning. And I argued very strongly against it. Nonetheless, this august body decided to grant that petitioner's request for rezoning. This is exactly the opposite from spot zoning. If you look at the map here on page 8, you will see that green line that runs down there on the left. That is a railroad track. That is the old railroad track, and that's what separated this land next to 28A, which back in the day used to be Route 28. When I came to town in 1958, there was no 28 dual highway. This was the highway. And therefore, that land all along Route 28, that was all considered suitable for business. And you had many businesses there over the years. On the right here, that's the old Coonamessett Corner. That's now the Beach House. Now, when we see this little square here, B3 on the left, on the lower left, that little chunk there that these folks want to rezone is now an anomaly there. It is not consistent. If someone were to come here from another town and look at that, they would wonder, say, why did they spot zone that to be residential when it's in a block of industrial and commercial land? This, I mean, is an easy case. That there is no question here of spot zoning. That whether these people own any property in common or not is totally irrelevant. The only question before us and before the planning board is, does this make sense from a zoning perspective to round out that one block so that it is consistent with all the other blocks on that intersection? Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Lichtenstein. My left.
Leslie Lichtenstein, Precinct 8. At the precinct meeting, we asked for a definition of what could be built on this if we change the zoning. Zoning is forever, like James Bond. Most of us have absolutely no problem at all with real estate associates. You'll build a beautiful building. In the future, we just asked at the precinct meeting if we could be told what other things could be there once we pass the zoning. And we were told by the planning board that they would have that for us here. They did not have it at the precinct meeting. Could we hear that now, please? Thank you.
Mr. Ahmed, do you want to address it?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I have the section of the zoning bylaw that's Article 10 for business districts. And as Mr. Herb said, it's a fairly long section, but I don't have to take very long to answer the question about what's permitted in a B3 zone, because there really isn't that much of these several pages that concerns that. There are certain permitted business and commercial uses that are allowed in all business districts, including Business 3, and they include retail sales, but only establishments of less than 4,000 square feet in a B3 district. Business or professional offices, a bank, a medical clinic, or a computer center. Personal and household services such as a tailor or a salon. And restaurants, other than fast food restaurants, and in the Business 3 district, only the Class 1 and 2 restaurants, which have the least impact. And then you can have arts and crafts. Now, there are very few special permit uses that apply in the B3 district that would apply at least to this property. You're allowed to have commercial accommodations, but that is a motel, but this is a very small lot. You're allowed to have private clubs and multifamily dwellings, but only with a density of 6 units per acre, and that would only allow a duplex on this small piece of property. And then there are a variety of other uses that are simply inapplicable: airports, telephone exchanges, and the like. So this particular piece of property being abutted by that 1 2/3 acre business property shown on the plan. If you combine the properties, well, I guess you could do more on the larger piece. But the goal here is to develop this property separately for the purpose you've already heard about, and we actually have, and maybe you'd like to see, it should be loaded in the computer, a concept plan that just shows the rather small office building and some parking. If the lots were combined, then the area of this property would count towards lot coverage and open space requirements for the entire property. And the fact is, you could have a bigger building as a result of that on the bigger piece. By developing it separately, something as shown like this, which is what Lisa and her sister, Kristen, who is here, they only own a 1/3 interest in the larger piece and have not been able to reach any agreement to develop that. They just want to put the small building on this lot and keep it separate, and we don't think that is going to expand the development that's possible, and it's an appropriate use for the site as for all the reasons that the planning board has recommended this, and they did so unanimously. I hope I answered the question about what can be done there in the B3 district fairly succinctly, and of course if Mr. Curry had anything to add, I hope he would. Thank you.
Okay. Are we good? We're good? Ms. Haywood? Ms. Haywood? No, you're all set? Any further discussion on the main motion? Ms. Donahue?
Mr. Moderator, through you, I'd like to ask, if you did combine these two pieces of land, it could be done. Would any proposal that you had have to come to town meeting, or would it just go through the normal boards for building? I am concerned that you know, you don't have an agreement now, but once we give you this leeway, this extension for this property, then all of a sudden we'll have a grandiose project in front of us that I want to make sure it be able to come to town meeting for approval.
Yeah. I mean, projects won't come to town meeting if they're allowable under the bylaw. The discussion here is whether or not to extend the zone on the lot But we don't approve projects here like that. I mean, we approve zoning bylaws, and then they're either permitted under the zoning bylaw, or they have to go for a special permit or a variance or whatever we write into the zoning bylaw. So we won't be taking individual projects and taking votes on them here. Ms. O'Connell?
Yes, Mr. Moderator, one question comes to mind. Looking at this now, as I have been for a number of minutes, I'm just wondering, is this little wedge that isn't involved in either the red B3 or the RB under discussion a spite strip of sorts? And is that what that is? Well, you know, who owns that little wedge on the map that isn't included in your...
That's a right-of-way.
A right-of-way.
That should be the right-of-way for the Commonwealth.
That's simply a GIS drawing. There's actually, there is no wedge there. The property description in the bylaw would fill the entire area between the B3 zone and the railroad tracks in the street.
So that little pie wedge should be part of the red or the...
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thanks.
I think that's correct.
And then the piece on the left of it, it continues the right-of-way of the railroad track. Okay. Was it Mr. Rhodes that?
Scarborough Roads, Precinct 8. This is a popular corner. I think for the last 10 town meetings, some part of that has been tried to get rezoned. And for some reason, people don't like to get that rezoned. And I can't understand that one. But I think we ought to give this lady what she's asking for and move on. Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion on Article 8? Hearing none, then the question will come on the main motion as recommended. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Pin of the chairs that the ayes have it by a 2/3 majority, and I so declare. Article 9. Article 9 to transfer the sum of $35,000 from certified free cash to fund the review and recodification of the zoning bylaw. Madam Chairman, for the main motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move Article 9 as recommended, and by adding at the end of it, after expended, under the jurisdiction of the town manager.
Okay, we just had to add the language that it's under the jurisdiction of the town manager. Any discussion on Article 9? Hearing none, the question will then come on the main motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, unanimous. Article 10. Article 10 is a local comprehensive plan. Main motion from the Board of Selectmen.
Yes, Mr. Moderator. I move Article 10 as printed.
Okay, Article 10 as recommended. Who held this one, Mr. Swig? Mr. Smolowitz. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Ron Smolowitz, Precinct 8. I would make a motion to amend the article. It's a little bit of wordsmithing. I would like the article to read as shown up on the overhead with the track changes. First sentence would remain unchanged. The second sentence would be, Falmouth shall protect the health of its citizens and water bodies from the harmful effects of wastewater, period. Removing the by sewering and removing furthermore alternative treatment methods where appropriate and replacing it by multiple approaches shall be considered. The second paragraph, I'd like to strike, and shall future sewer treatment and discharge sites, so that the sentence would read, Falmouth shall develop and protect all current and future drinking water sources, by purchasing and reserving sufficient land for those purposes. In the next sentence, I would like to remove the word sewer and replace it by wastewater, so the sentence shall read, Falmouth shall institutionalize a budget process to provide for the full cost pricing needs of the water and wastewater infrastructure. And in the second to last sentence, strike either by sewering or using effective alternative methods or a combination of the two wherever appropriate. My purpose for this is that we have not yet decided that we're going to sewer the whole town. And the way this is written, it only provides, it basically says that we are going to protect our water bodies by harmful effects by sewers. I think that we are supposedly in a deliberative process. I do not believe my amendments here change the intent of this planning document. It just prevents from some future date somebody, when we're starting to vote the hundreds of millions of dollars, coming up and saying town meeting approved sewers in its comprehensive plan. So that is the purpose of my wordsmithing here. Again, the intent remains the same. I think it's just a little bit more general and it allows us to explore multiple options without homing right into the concept of sewers. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Okay, so the question is on the floor of the amendment as presented in the overhead. Mr. Latimer.
Richard Latimer, Precinct 1. I just want to support this proposed amendment on the reasons stated by Mr. Smolowitz. I want to emphasize this is a planning document, a document to guide policy in the future. The sections about sewering that Mr. Smolowitz is objecting to, and he has correctly pointed out, are really not so much planning documents as they are action items. And they don't belong in the planning document. And that's why I would support this amendment. Deleting those points about the sewer does not in any way prevent us from developing action items on sewers on areas where that may be appropriate, and that should be done on a case-by-case basis, determined by the area where the intention is to sewer. So I would urge everyone to vote for this amendment and then vote for the article as amended.
Maybe that was just to develop it originally. Any further discussion on the amendment? Ms. Kerfoot.
I disagree with Mr. Smolowitz because I think we have to have a balanced approach of both mentioning sewering and alternative methods. When we put this together, we tried to give that balance in here. I believe we cannot ignore sewering, nor can we ignore alternative methods, and they are both, I believe, equally represented in here. He is correct, Rich is correct, that when we get to the action items, it will spell out how we're going to proceed. But we very, very carefully wordsmith this to give the balanced perspective.
Okay, further discussion on the amendment. Yep, Ms. Smith. Ms. Shepherd. No, Mr. Noonan, I'll put you on the list. I got Ms. Shepherd in the back. Just trying to get her a mic.
Thank you. Susan Shepherd, Precinct 1. As a person who makes a living wordsmithing, I actually think that's a very admirable, those are admirable changes, and I don't think it prohibits us, it does nothing to take away sewering. Sewer and sewering appears a lot in there. I think that was just very well done. I urge you to vote for the amendment.
Okay, Mr. Noonan. With the microphone, please.
On the goals for water and sewer element, if that should be changed also, and the policies for the water and sewer element, if that should be addressed in the wordsmithing.
Mr. Smolowitz? I think you left that in there to be part of the balanced approach, or?
Which sentence specifically?
I think the title. The
Policy.
subtitle.
That's the way the whole document is written, it's separated by goals and policies. So I think the way it's currently written is it still allows just about any policy we want to set, but it sets some very more generic approach as opposed to homing in on a solution. I was always taught that as an engineer, half your effort is to properly define the problem. You don't want to jump to solutions too fast. So the goal here is to just identify the problems and our policies towards dealing with the problems, not with the solutions.
Mr. Neto?
Precinct 9. I'm sure the town meeting is going to pass this, whether or not. I applaud Mr. Smolowitz with his amendments, but that's not what I'd want to address, and I don't want to get off the track here. But this article, and I do support the article and the amendment. The article is presented to us by the planning board, and it has to do with planning and protecting our future water. I would hope after the successful passage of this article that the planning board sends a copy of this article to a committee formed by the selectmen on how to raise money and is talking about selling surplus land. If you would look under policies for the water and sewer element, the very first bullet, Falmouth shall develop and protect all current and future drinking water sources and shall future sewer treatment and discharge sites by purchasing and reserving sufficient land for those purposes. I will stay with the article, but I know we have another committee that has mentioned one parcel in particular that this body purchased, to use the word for sewer, sewering Falmouth's wastewater. And I would like that committee, obviously, to take note of what this body is going to do, hopefully in the successful passage of this article. Thank you.
A question for the planning board. We had a briefing last week, and the sentence that Mr. Neto just spoke of was missing a verb. And at the end of that meeting, someone was supposed to, after the word shall and before future sewer, protect. Okay. In that sentence that Mr. Neto just read, there was a Scribner's error. They dropped a word, protect. So under policies for water and sewer element, you just make this change there. It should say, Falmouth shall develop and protect all current and future drinking water sources and shall protect. So add the word protect, future sewer treatment. Okay. Yep. Start down here, Mr. Clark, and then we'll go to Mr. Turkington.
I just want to ask the question again of Mr. Smolowitz. You've changed the language in the paragraphs, but you haven't changed any language in the subheads. It's still, you don't want it to say goals for the water and wastewater element, policies for the water and wastewater element. You want to leave sewer there?
Thank you very much. I didn't catch that. Didn't pay attention. Yes, I would like to substitute the word wastewater for sewer in the subtitle.
Okay, this is the second amendment on the floor, is to strike the word sewer in the subtitles and insert in the place thereof wastewater.
In both subtitles.
Okay. Discussion just on the subtitles. So we don't have too many motions on the floor at the same time. Anything about just the subtitle. All those in favor of changing the word sewer to wastewater signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a majority, and we're back on the First Amendment as amended. What's in the overhead with the word sewer changed to wastewater. Mr. Turkington.
Eric Turkington, Precinct 1, and speaking as chairman of the Water Quality Committee. The committee obviously has not had a chance to review Mr. Smolowitz's language, but for the last 2 years, his path is the path we have chosen and that the whole town has chosen. A balanced approach, a parallel path that includes all options. So I see no problem with his amendment.
Okay. Yep, down here on my left. And then Ms. Lowe. Mr. Patamas.
Jerry Patamas, wastewater superintendent and town meeting rep. On the second question where it says, and shall protect future sewer treatment and discharge sites, to me that's very, very important. An old timer many, many years ago say, you buy land when it's available, not when you need it. I think we cannot put aside the idea that we have to have whoever the appropriate planning agencies are trying to look ahead and protect land when we need it. If we don't need it, we can dispose of it. So I don't see that as a benefit. I see it as hamstringing us. And that would be the
second strikeout.
The second strikeout. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Lowell.
Vicki Lowell, Precinct 1. That's Mr. Patamas has put his finger on something I have a semi-problem with, which is if we just eliminate that part of any sites for waste treatment and discharge, we're only thinking of sewering, but there could be sites needed for the permeable reactive barriers and other parts of a wastewater infrastructure. So I'm not against Mr. Smolowitz trying to broaden the language, but I think I would like to wonder if we could table this and bring it back a little bit later. So I'm having trouble reading it off the sideboard there, and it is language. I know it's just a policy statement, but I'd be more comfortable if we wouldn't just totally eliminate reference to needs for land for future wastewater needs.
Okay. Further discussion? Ms. Lichtenstein? Nope. No, we can't table it. You vote no if you don't want to take action tonight, and then you can come back with it. If we table it, you have to take it off the table before we dissolve the meeting. If you want to, go out for the next town meeting, then you'd vote no. If you think you can clean it up by the reconvening of the annual, then a motion to table would be in order, but I won't dissolve the meeting until everything's taken from the table. So Ms. Lowell, do you want to attempt to table it tonight with the expectation that we'll take action before the end of this town meeting?
Very feasible to just temporarily table it and take action when we have the wording right.
Okay, so we have a motion to table this article, table the motion here. It will have to be dispensed with before I dissolve the annual meeting. All those in favor, this is a 2/3 vote. All those in favor of laying this question on the table signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. No. It's been the chairs that there is not a 2/3 and the motion to table does not carry. Who was next on my list here? We had some hands over here. Ms. Lichtenstein?
Leslie Lichtenstein, Precinct 8. I think it's implied in the goal of protecting all current and future drinking water sources. To protect our drinking water sources, we have to watch where our wastewater goes. I think that's implicit in it. So I think that is full justification if we decide we want to buy property, which would be for sewage treatment or for infiltration beds or reactive beds or any other form of treatment. I think it actually covers that. Thank you.
Okay, further discussion on the main motion as amended. Gentleman in the back.
Steve Layton, Precinct 1, and a member of the Water Quality Committee. I support Mr. Smolowitz's amendment I think he appropriately broadened it by changing the word sewer to wastewater, but I accept in the case of that second strikeout, the first strikeout under policies for water and sewer, I propose that his amendment be changed to...
There are only 2 amendments allowed in an article.
Okay.
We've had 2, so we either vote yes or no on this amendment.
I think you get the idea.
Okay, any further discussion on the amendment? Hearing none, the question will come on Mr. Smolowitz's amendments in red. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. It shares that the ayes have it by a majority. Question will now come on the main motion as amended. That's changing sewer to wastewater in the subtitles and including the changes on the overhead. All those in favor of the main motion as amended signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it unanimous, and we'll stand in a recess for 15 minutes.
Hi, I'm Pat Thatcher.
And I'm Margaret Gifford. We're from Sotheby's International Realty.
You know, spring is a beautiful time in Falmouth, but one thing I've noticed is in scant supply.
Sure is. It's bikinis on the beach.
Oh, Margaret, I'm not talking about bikinis. I'm talking about the housing inventory.
It's the lowest it's ever been.
It's very low, but it's a good time for sellers.
And a great time for buyers because the interest rates are so favorable.
All in all, it's a great time for real estate in Falmouth.
Nestled in a classic New England setting amid 200-year-old elm trees and charming colonial homes, stately sea captains' homes, and charming Cape Cod salt boxes, Shoreway Acres is a graceful blend of Cape Cod's past and present. Shoreway Acres, proud sponsor of Falmouth Community Television.
Founder Abraham Penn taught a valuable lesson that has been part of a tradition since 1919 when he said, "I'd rather make a friend than make a sale." For more than 90 years, Puritan has been making friends as a unique family-owned company right here in Cape Cod. At Puritan Cape Cod on 199 Main Street, as well as Chatham, Mashpee, and Hyannis, you'll find the latest in men's and women's clothing, as well as ski and tennis equipment, and much more. Puritan Cape Cod, 548-0116, or PuritanCapeCod.com.
Welcome to Falmouth. If you're a visitor, this is where surf and sun meet for fun. If you're a resident, this is where you'll find the businesses and the resources necessary to fill all of your needs. If you're a business person, this can be your home. Join with other men and women who work together to make this a sustainable economy year-round. Welcome to Falmouth, Cape Cod.
Green Harbor Waterfront Lodging is nestled in a woodland setting on a picturesque ocean inlet. Green Harbor offers so much for a fun-filled yet affordable family waterfront vacation. Enjoy our private boating beach with ramp and dock, free rowboats and paddle boats, oversized heated outdoor pool and kiddie pool. You'll enjoy our attractive waterfront and beachside accommodations. So visit us online at gogreenharbor.com.
Remember, WC Communications is your printing team. We are calm and cool under pressure. You can call us at 508-563-7366 or toll free at 1-800-696-7303.
Internet services provided by Cape.com Incorporated. Established in 1994, Cape.com is the only locally owned and operated internet service provider on Cape Cod. Our specialties include e-commerce applications and design, wide area networking services, and high-speed DSL internet access throughout eastern Massachusetts. Cape.com continues to lead the way with cutting-edge applications, superior networking services, and quality customer support. For For more information, visit us at www.cape.com or call us at 539-9500.
Cavosa Excavating is a family-owned and operated company specializing in the installation of Title V septic systems. Cavosa Excavating is one of the largest septic system installers on Cape Cod. Whether it's upgrading your current system or installing a whole new system, Cavosa Excavating can do the job. Cavosa Excavating, 508-563-5530.
Cavosa Disposal is proud to provide trash removal services to local businesses in Falmouth. Cavosa Disposal would like to thank its customers in Falmouth. Cavosa Disposal, 563-5070.
We've earned people's trust for over 180 years. We're proud of our heritage and the enduring relationships we've built with our clients. For us, trust is more than a word. It's the only way we do business, and it's why people choose Janney.
Leah McGuire's Irish Pub, Main Street, downtown Falmouth. What an Irish pub should be. Sláinte.
Bayside Kitchen and Bath on Main Street in Falmouth, where design and installation professionals work closely with homeowners, architects, and builders. Offering a full range of cabinetry, flooring, faucets, and green alternatives, Bayside Kitchen and Bath, returning you to beautiful spaces.
Eastman's has been Falmouth's hardware store since 1913. Today, we offer a paint department, over 30,000 fasteners in stock, and a friendly staff to assist with all your hardware needs. 508-548-0407.
Wild Harbor General Store, located in historic North Falmouth Village, providing quality goods and services for 170 years. Continuing to make history with our support of FCTV's coverage of Falmouth Town Meeting.
Carpet Barn, Carpet One Home Showcase, a local family-owned business offering all your premier carpet and flooring needs. They also feature tile and vinyl floors, area rugs, window treatments, and kitchen and bathroom cabinetry, serving you at 4 convenient locations.
Bringing you the news through the years, The Enterprise. Their subscription information line is 508-299-8379, and you can visit them on the web at www.capenews.net.
Michael A. Duffany Builders, Incorporated, 508-540-3625. Falmouth Volunteers in Public Schools, 508-548-1621. The Bank of Cape Cod, at 445 Main Street in Falmouth, bankofcapecod.com. Wood Lumber Company, at 81 Locust Street, 508-548-3154. Neighborhood Falmouth, meeting seniors' needs, 564-7543, neighborhoodfalmouth.org. Green Shuttle of Cape Cod, 866-934-6476, or gogreenshuttle.com. Foley Real Estate, at 703 Main Street. The number is 548-3415. M.R. Sars & Company, Flower Garden Nursery. At Sandwich Road in Hatchville, 548-5288. Danny's Barbershop, 508-548-6013. Eight Cousins Bookstore, at 189 Main Street in Falmouth, 548-5548. Paul's Precision Automotive Repair, at 464 Main Street, 508-548-3164. David Rogers Electrician, Residential, Commercial, Industrial, 564 7507. Murray McDonald Insurance Services Incorporated at 406 Jones Road in Falmouth and 550 MacArthur Boulevard in Bourne. Falmouth Fish Market at 157 T-Ticket Highway in Falmouth. Hamilton Tree Incorporated, 508-563-7633 or www.hamtreeandland.com. Oppenheim & Nickerson LLP. Their law office is at 156 Locust Street, 508-548-8255. Davy Tree and Lawn at 996 East Falmouth Highway, 548-2662. Andy's Barbershop in the Falmouth Plaza. Arthur D. Calfee Insurance with 2 locations at 121 Conby Road in North Falmouth and 336 Gifford Street in Falmouth. Chapman Cole & Gleason, 508-540-4172. Hanush Jewelers, now at 352 Main Street in downtown Falmouth. The number is 548-9107. Mahoney's Garden Center at Route 28 in East Falmouth. The number is 508-548-4842. Vincent Associates Real Estate at 159 Main Street in Town Hall Square. The number is 548-6500. The Cape Cod 5 at 763 Main Street. The number is 457-5252. Cape Cod Cleaning, 508-563-7622. Steve's Pizzeria and more at 374 Main Street in the center of town. 457-9454 or 457-9636.